All right, so we are on to assignment three. So assignment three is a little more simple. We apply all aspects, materials, all aspects of the model, develop all aspects of each material render. So developing all the aspects takes a little bit more time, right? So we've got all of our materials in the scene here, except we don't have a grass yet. So I want to bring a grass in, and I'm going to do that through, I'm going to go here to get material and go into the environment tab here, and here I've got a grass. It looks a little weird. It looks brown, so it looks like my diffuse map is not linking. So I'm going to click on that M, go to the bitmap, and see if I can find it. Ground cover, there's my grass. I got some other kinds of grass, but I'm going to use that one. And then I'm going to assign that to that mesh. So there it is. There's my grass. You can see how it's kind of see-through. And that's because blades of grass are see-through. So how do I resolve that? How do I change that? Well, I need to give this a displacement so that it can do its thing. And this is what's called procedural mapping, where you have a map that actually isn't just a JPEG, it's actually something that tells the model what to do when it's rendering. In this case, we want to make geometry. So I'm going to use my select tool here and select the mesh, the ground plane, go over to the modify tab, and I'm going to add two modifiers. First, I'm going to add the UVW map. That's going to give me the opportunity to sort of change and rescale the texture map. And then I'm going to go down all the way down here and go to the V-Ray displacement modifier. I want to do 2D mapping, very important. 3D mapping, no bueno. Then I'm going to pick a texture map. So I'm going to go none there. I'm going to close these down. And you want to go to the maps, standard, bitmap. And then I want to go into, I'm going to go up to my material, libraries, ground cover. There's my grass display. These are exactly the same. So either one of these is fine. They just kind of got duplicated in there. So now the way I control map the grass, this is the height of the grass. So I'm going to do maybe 5 inches, 5 inches. And the resolution gives me a consistency of the blades of grass. So if I wanted to be finer, so I'm going to do about 1600. Usually works out pretty well. So that's that. So then the UVW map. The reason I put this in here is to make the displacement map and the grass map act the same way. And what I really want to do is use the grass map to vary the color of the grass along the ground plane, because the displacement map is going to do the geometry. I just want to use that so I want to look at this a little different way. I'm going to keep it planar, but I'm going to unclick the real world size. And when I do that, it stretches the map across the entire object. And obviously we don't want it to stretch the whole object. So I'm going to go try 12 feet by 12 feet maybe first. Way too big, right? Still really blurry. So 6 feet by 6 feet maybe. Still 4 by 4. Looks okay. 3 by 3. I'm trying to look at this to make sure I'm not seeing tiling, like I'm not seeing that pattern repeat in the grass, but I am seeing variation in color that's not totally pixelated. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to just give that a test render and see, just get it through the light catch and see if that looks good. If that's something that I want to, continue on with. And it looks like it's coming through okay. I don't have a sense yet of if it's tiling or not, but it looks like it's coming through. I mean, it's very clearly not transparent, so I know my displacement's working. It looks like I've got some detail. I'm pretty happy with that, so I don't think I need to see a whole lot more of that right now. I'm just going to kind of let that slide. So the other thing I want to do with materials is also give them a displacement. So let's, just the way I did a UV on the ground, I might want to do that UV on other materials. So let's look at the wood material, for example. So I'm going to move around here. And let's say I want, if you come to right to the edge of this, I'm going to turn the displacement off just so I can render fast. But if I come right to the edge of this and I render, I've got a wood material, but there's this perfect crisp line at the corner. And maybe I want to see if I can get that siding to do some stuff, to come in and out a little bit and do some stuff. So what I need to do is the same as I just do the same as I did with the grass. I'm going to select the object, add a V-Ray displacement modifier. In this case, I don't want to do a UVW map because I'm not going to do a different displacement map. I'm going to use the same map that's on here as the displacement. On the grass, the displacement's grass itself because it's doing two different things. One's controlling color, the other geometry. This will probably line up pretty well. So I'm just going to do the displacement modifier. Again, I'm going to do 2D mapping. And to get the texture map, I want to link it. So I want to get, so I'm going to do this to get that siding material. And here's the map. And I'm going to click and drag that map over to here as an instance. So now it's all linked together. So that's a good thing. And then and what I want to do with this is I want to give it a negative displacement. So that's going to push it in. The areas that are white are going to be pushed in. So obviously that's not going to work because the areas that are white we want to push out, right? So we'd have to invert the image. So this is where it gets into doing some things that we have to we have to play with. So what I'm going to do is pull this back out over to here as an instance. So I've got this just as the map. Then I'm going to go to bitmap and I'm going to check color correction. Keep that as a submap so it's still linked. And then I am going to invert it. Invert. So that gives me an inversion. I might want to increase the decrease the lightness and increase the contrast. Maybe. Yeah, that actually looks kind of better, doesn't it? Nope. Not playing very well with me right now, is it? Yeah, it's not playing well with me. So I think I might need to switch maps maybe, but I'm just gonna see if I can get this to work to some degree. I might be able to control it in some other ways, but that'll be it. So then what I'll do is I'll take this color correct map, which is what this is now. This is a color correct map. It's not the JPEG, and I'll put that over there instead as an instance. So let's see if I can get back to this guy. So it looks like what I did was I linked it to that color correct. So I just need to link this back to the good old-fashioned map. Did it invert it here? It did. Yep. So I got to do that as a separate color correct. So I'm just going to do that as normal and show it. Having some issues here, aren't I? You know what? I think I'm going to leave this, and I'm going to put this back here as an instance and just show you how it works. So what I should get now is some geometry at that corner. So you can see I'm starting to get it. You can see it right there. So that's pretty good. It's not awesome, but it's pretty good. The other thing it's doing, it's coming out way too far. So I'm going to go ahead and do this as a -1/2 inch. So that'll push it back in, and it'll keep the corner intact, and that'll do all that other stuff that I needed to do. Let's see if I can zoom in here again. So that's okay. It's a little more subtle, but at least we're getting some definition on the corner. It's not a perfectly smooth corner, and it's giving it a little more realism. And then it looks like that material needs to be developed too. So I just want to get into here and look at this as a material. So this is what I want to do for all the materials, not just this one, but I'm looking at all of these, and I think what I want to do is pull. There's a color correction inside of a color correction. I'm going to redo this. I'm going to apply this onto here, and I'm going to replace it because it's just not working right. So I'm going to do that first. And then this reflection is a little bit, it's just dull. So I think what I need to do is, I'm going to actually get rid of this color correction. I'm going to unlink this stuff. And I'm going to get a different map. I'm going to get a bitmap because I know I have one made for this. So I'm going to go to wood, siding, and I'm going to look at one of these. I'm going to take this guy. This guy's a lot of good contrast. So that's giving me some definition. Now the size isn't right, so I got to go back up and see what is this one, 4 feet by 4 feet. So I got to make sure that's 4 feet by 4 feet. And I should see that start to line up over here. Yep, that's looking much better. And then I'm going to do the same. I'm going to drag that down as an instance. And then I'll put that down into the bump map as an instance. It's looking like it's a little too shiny. So I can see about blending. See what that, if I set that to 100, what does that do? Yeah, yeesh, no good. So I'm going to keep that at 30, but I'll go up here maybe, and I'll adjust this to maybe 0.6. That looks a little better, or maybe it even needs to be 0.5. Yeah, probably be a little more dull, 0.55 maybe. These previews are not very good, but they're they'll do the trick. I'm going to take that subdivisions up to 32. And now I am going to take this map right here. I'm going to put it right there as a copy. And then I'm going to take that and color correct it and invert it. And I'm going to put that in there instead because it's just working better. And then I have that shifted a ½ inch. Now I'm going to give that a try and see how that feels. I'm going to get it even closer. And this is what you want to do for all your materials. So you want to do this for all of them. Kind of get through and see how they're working. You don't obviously need to do displacement on every single material. You only need to do it on a few. Looking at this right now, it looks like that displacement's a little bit severe. It almost looks like it's just overly bumpy. It might need to smooth it out a little bit. But I am getting really good geometry. I mean, that's really, really nice. That's really nice. The corners are doing enough. They're not doing a lot, but they're doing enough that its negative displacement is good. That means, I'm not getting, the corners aren't separating. They're going to stay glued together, but at least I'll get some definition there. That's about as good as we're going to get without going really crazy with the program. It just looks like I've got some work to do in the diffuse and the reflect, and there's a little bit too much of a bump, and there's some other stuff to deal with the wood to kind of smooth it out. Maybe it's a little too cartoony, but that's just kind of, flavor to taste at that point. That gives me my sense of what those materials need to be. So that's what I want to do with all the materials. I want to make sure I do that with the wood. I do that with the carpet's the same thing. I want to give the carpet, I want to select that and give that a displacement. And I want to take the map from the carpet displace and slide it over here, 2D. I want to give that maybe 2 inches. So that's now displacing. The plaster probably doesn't need to displace, but I might need to adjust the mapping on the maps themselves because it looks a little big, and I think these are all color correct. Yep, it is. So I can go into here. This maybe needs to be 4 feet by 4 feet so it's not tiling quite as much. It still is tiling a little bit. 6 by 6. And these are good high resolution images, so you can keep doing this. Maybe 8 by 8. You just kind of maybe want that effect to be subtle. So you just got a little bit of variation. That looks pretty good. I'm zooming around. I'm seeing what else I got going on. The concrete. I probably want to do the same thing with the concrete. Let's see what I've got going on here. With concrete, what is that material? It's this. I want to show it in there. So there it is. I'm going to do a UVW map on that just to see if I can. I might be able to do that one as a box and see if I can mess around with it. 5 feet by 5 feet by 5 feet. Too big. 1 by 1 by 1. About right. So I can mess around with that. So that's the basic gist of it. So you want to do that and then render both of those, the same way. I'm doing this displacement. Okay. -1/2 inch, and I'm hitting render, and that's it. On to the next assignment.